Hey everybody, this is Mr. Storm. In this video, we are going to finish our password generator website. So as a review, for our HTML, we just created some H1 text. We have an input. We have a button that we can click. Our style sheet is pretty full, and that style sheet code created a website that looks like this. It's great. The buttons don't do anything. It doesn't generate a password, but it looks nice. So today we're actually going to add the functionality that we need to make this work properly. And we're going to do that by adding some JavaScript code. So I'm going to go slowly so that we all understand exactly what I'm writing. Let me grab my notes real quick, because I don't memorize this stuff. I have a cheat sheet. Let me find there we go. Okay. So the first thing we are going to need is we are going to need to get this password box right here. Where's the box? Right there. We need to get this password box. And JavaScript likes to use IDs to get references to HTML elements. So we need to add an ID into this password box. So it's actually pretty easy. All we have to do is type ID equals password. Okay, so now we can write a line of code in JavaScript that finds this element based on the ID that it has associated with it. So the first thing we're going to do is up here we're going to write const. Now we're using const because const it's short for constant, and we don't want to create a variable. We want to create a constant. We want something that does not change in while the program is running, right? So that's why we use constants. It's a way to store data, but it will not change. All right, so const, we'll call this password box. We'll set it equal to document, meaning we're going to look for our index or our index.html document, and we are going to get element by ID. Now notice that element is capitalized, by is capitalized, and ID is capitalized. All right, and the element that we're looking for is called password. So what we've just done there is this line of code is going to get this element, whatever element has the ID of password, and it's going to store it in this constant called password box. Okay. Now we want another constant, and it's going to be the length of the password. We'll set it to 12 characters because we want a 12-character password, a strong password. Okay, now we need some more constants. What we need is we need all of the possible characters that we can use in a password. So we can do this two ways. We can create a constant that has one long string of all the possible characters, all the uppercase, lowercase, numbers, and special characters, or we can create 4 separate constants that stores each one of those types. That's what I'm going to do because it saves us from having one long string of code. So const uppercase, and I'm going to add all of the uppercase characters. So I'm going to turn on A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. All right, so that's all of our uppercase characters. And we're going to do the same thing down here for lowercase. Oh. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. Alrighty, so now we have all of our uppercase characters, our lowercase characters. Now let's get our numbers. And these are pretty easy. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, those are all the possible numbers. Now we want special characters. So we'll just call this symbol. And we're going to add in, let's do all of these. I'm just holding shift and hitting everything on the top row. and then, oh, there and there. Let's do the lowercase versions of those two. Let's add in the tilde. Oh, the tilde. Let's do the brackets and the French brackets. And let's do the angle characters, and we'll do the forward slash and the backslash. No, we're not going to use backslash because it's going to throw off our text. That's enough symbols. That should be plenty. Okay, so these are all the possible characters we can use in the password that we're going to generate. Now, to get these all into one string, we can create another constant called all chars for all characters, and we're going to add uppercase and lowercase and number and symbol. So we'll add all of these variables, well, constants, we'll add all of these constants together so this becomes one long string of characters that are possible. Okay, beautiful. So now we've set it up so we have everything we need to create this functionality. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new function called create password, and that function is going to be tied to the button in our HTML. So down here we have our button. What we need to do is we need to create an on-click event. What that means is whenever this button is clicked, we want to run a specific function. Okay, so button on click equals, and we'll call it create password with open and close parentheses behind it. You'll know you've done it correctly if the text turns yellow. That means it's looking for a JavaScript function. Now we haven't created this function yet, but we're going to right now. So to create a function in JavaScript, you just type the keyword function and give it a name. So ours is create password. Now, you need the open and close parentheses, and you need these French brackets, because everything that we write in between this bracket and that bracket is going to be inside of the create password function. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is we need to create a variable called password in which we can store our password. In JavaScript, the best way to create a variable, there are a couple of ways. We can use the var keyword to create a variable, or we can use the let keyword. I choose to use the let. It's a bit better, especially if you're making more complicated programs. So let password equal nothing. So we're going to create a password and put nothing inside of it right now. We're creating a new variable called password, putting nothing inside. Now what we're going to do is we're going to create a while loop. And this is a function that will just loop continuously until a certain condition is met. So what we're going to do is we're going to say while length is greater than password.length, meaning the length of the password variable. While length is greater than that, then we're going to keep looping. So it'll say basically if our password is 0 characters, then we'll keep going because 0 is less than 12. If our password is 6 characters, we'll keep going because 6 is less than 12. If our password is 12 characters, we won't keep going because 12 is not less than 12, right? So as soon as we hit 12, we're going to stop looping. And all we want to do inside this loop, this next line of code is going to look complicated. Just bear with me, okay? First, we need to change the password. So we're going to call the password variable. We're going to add something to it. This plus equals means add to what already exists in password. At the beginning, nothing exists. So whenever we add something, it's going to add something to this nothing. Okay? So add something. What we want to add is something from the all chars constant. So we're going to pick something out of that constant. And that is just a series of all these possible characters. And we're going to pick one of these at random. So the way we do random is we use math.floor parentheses math.random open and close parentheses. So yeah, that looks complicated. What we're doing is we're saying we want to pick a random number or a random option from this variable here or from this constant. Okay, so we're picking one of the random characters. And then we want to multiply that by all chars.length. What that's doing is this math floor, math random, it will grab a number between 0 and 1, meaning it's going to grab a very tiny number. We need to multiply that number by the length of this constant so that we actually get a whole number that we're looking for. Okay, oh, and we need this parentheses actually goes here. Okay, and semicolon. So this is the most complicated part of this entire project right here. So password plus equals all chars square bracket math.floor open parentheses math.random open and close parentheses multiplied by all chars.length close parentheses close square bracket. Okay, so that's going to loop through. That's going to choose a random character from these strings here. It's going to choose a random character and add it to our password. And it's going to do that for all 12 characters. Next, we need to display the password onto the password box. So we already have a reference to it. So we'll type password box.value, meaning we're going to change the value of the password box to password. Okay, that's the whole function. That create password function now will work. So let's go ahead and test our program and see if it works. So notice that if I click generate password, it should give me a random password. And it does, www, capital R, lowercase l. Maybe I don't like that password. Let's generate a new one, or a new one, or a new one, or a new one, or no. So now we're getting a random 12-character password with uppercase, lowercase, characters, numbers. We're getting a good combination of all of those things. Perfect. So the last thing we need to do is we need to turn on this button so that whenever we click it, it will actually copy our password. So the first thing we need to do is we need this to be tied to a function, and we need the function to be tied to an onClick method with that image. So we can use onClick for images as well, which is really nice. So that image is right here. So inside the image tag, I'm going to type onClick. And, oh, actually, onClick equals, and then the name of the function. So it's going to be called copy password. All right. So copy password when I click on that button. And in the JavaScript, we're going to create a new function to handle that. And it's going to be 2 lines long. It's really not going to be that complicated. So we're going to say function copy password. Okay. Now what we want to do is we want to select the text that's inside of the password box. And so that is pretty easy. These text fields already have a function called select, which will allow us to capture the value of that field. So all we have to do is type password box dot select. Oh, there we go. And that will allow us to select what's already inside of the password box. Then we want to document dot exec command. Now, you're probably going to get a strike through whenever you use this exec command function. The reason why is because this is an old way of doing things, but they haven't created a new way of doing it yet. So even though it's old, there's no new way of doing it. So the old way still works, but Replit thinks that it's wrong. But it'll still run, it'll still work perfectly. Don't freak out if you get an under or a strike through on this method. It still works perfectly fine. All right, and we are going to execute the copy command. Okay, we're going to execute the copy command. That's it. That's all the JavaScript we need. So if we go to password generator, refresh, I'm going to generate a new password. If I click this button, it'll copy that, and I can prove that it's copied by pasting it right in there. And look, that password matches that. So it effectively copied that password to my clipboard. That's it. That's all the JavaScript we need for this project, 20 lines of code. So we have effectively built an actual functioning website that gives us a random password that is complicated and secure and protects you against identity theft. All right? Congratulations. Well, thanks for paying attention for this project. Next time we'll get into something a little bit more complicated, but probably a lot more fun. Thanks for paying attention, and I'll see you next time.